Hello, 4th grade. We're going to read one of my favorite books. Do you remember reading The Dunderheads? This book, Weslandia, is by the same author, Paul Fleischman. It's about a boy named Wesley who thinks about the world differently than everyone else. In fact, he decides to create his own world of sorts. I want you to pause the video here and talk about what are you thinking about the title of this book. Okay, this is the first of several fantasy books we will read over the next few days. As you listen, think about what makes fantasy different from other kinds of fiction. Let's get started. Weslandia by Paul Fleischman. Of course he's miserable, moaned Wesley's mother. He sticks out like a nose, snapped his father. Listening through the heating vent, Wesley knew they were right. He was an outcast from the civilization around him. He alone in his town disliked pizza and soda, alarming his mother and the school nurse. He found professional football stupid. He had refused to shave half his head, the hairstyle worn by all the other boys, despite his father's bribe of $5. Outcast and civilization are important words on this page. An outcast is a person who is not accepted by people or society, and a civilization is a well-organized and developed society. Passing his neighborhood's two styles of housing, garage on the left and garage on the right, Wesley alone dreamed of more exciting forms of shelter. He had no friends, but plenty of tormentors. Fleeing them was the only sport he was good at. Oh, I really hope that Wesley's relationship with his tormentors will change. Each afternoon, his mother asked him what he had learned in school that day. That seeds are carried great distances by the wind, he answered on Wednesday. That each civilization has its staple food crop, he answered on Thursday. That school is over and I should find a good summer project, he answered on Friday. As always, his father mumbled, I'm sure you'll use that knowledge often. Look how excited Wesley is about reading and researching. Are you guys excited about reading and researching? I think you are. Suddenly, Wesley's thoughts shot sparks. His eyes blazed. His father was right. He could actually use what he had learned that week for a summer project that could top all the others. He would grow his own staple food crop and found his own civilization. Look at all these things behind Wesley's head. These are different parts of civilizations. I wonder what's going to happen. The next morning, he turned over a plot of ground in his yard. That night, a wind blew in from the west. It raced through the trees and sent his curtains snapping. Wesley lay awake, listening. His land was being planted. Oh, look, remember? A wind vane. Anemometer. Five days later, the first seedlings appeared. You'll have almighty bedlam on your hands if you don't get those weeds out, warned his neighbor. Actually, that's my crop, replied Wesley. In this type of garden, there are no weeds. Following ancient tradition, Wesley's fellow gardeners grew tomatoes, beans, Brussels sprouts, and nothing else. Wesley found it thrilling to open his land to chance and to invite the new and the unknown. Okay, so until now, this book sounded like realistic fiction, but seeds that plant themselves and grow into mysterious plants gives us something to think about. Pause the video here and talk to a partner about what you're thinking. The plants shot up past his knees, then to his waist. They seemed to be all of the same sort. Wesley couldn't find them in any plant book. Are those tomatoes, beans, or Brussels sprouts? Asked Wesley's neighbor. None of the above, replied Wesley. Fruit appeared, yellow at first and then blushing to magenta. Wesley picked one and sliced through the rind to the juicy purple center. He took a bite and found the taste an entrancing blend of peach, strawberry, pumpkin pie, and flavors he had no name for. Ignoring the shelf of cereals in the kitchen, Wesley took to breakfasting on the fruit. He dried half a rind to serve as a cup. He built his own squeezing device and drank the fruit's juice throughout the day. Pulling up a plant, he found large tubers on the roots. These he boiled, fried, or roasted on the family barbecue, seasoning them with a pinch of the plant's highly aromatic leaves. Oh, look at that. He is completely able to eat off of his one fruit. It was hot work tending to his crop. To keep off the sun, Wesley wove himself a hat from strips of the plant's woody bark. His success with the hat inspired him to devise a spinning wheel and a loom on which he wove a loose-fitting robe from the stalks of the soft inner fibers. Unlike jeans, which he found scratchy and heavy, the robe was comfortable. It reflected the sun and offered myriad opportunities for pockets. Wow, does this remind you of any civilizations that we have studied this year? His schoolmates were scornful, and then curious. Grudgingly, Wesley allowed them 10 minutes apiece at his mortar, crushing the plant seeds to collect the oil. This oil had a tangy scent and served him both as suntan lotion and a mosquito repellent. He rubbed it on his face each morning and sold small amounts to his former tormentors at the price of $10 per bottle. All right, so what do you think about Wesley's civilization so far? Why do you think that? Take a minute to talk about it. "What happened to your watch?" asked his mother one day. Wesley admitted that he no longer wore it. He told time by the stalk that he used as a sundial and had divided the day into 8 segments, which is the number of petals on the plant's flowers. He adopted a new counting system as well, based likewise on the number 8. His domain, home to many such innovations, was named Weslandia. Uninterested in traditional sports, Wesley made up his own. These were designed for a single player and used many different parts of the plant. His spectators looked on with envy. Realizing that more players would offer him more scope, Wesley invented other games that would include his schoolmates, games rich with strategy and complex scoring systems. He tried to be patient with the other players' blunders. So even though the kids torment him, Wesley has invented games that include them. Does this surprise you? Talk about why or why not. August was unusually hot. Wesley built himself a platform and took to sleeping in the middle of Weslandia. He passed the evenings playing a flute he had fashioned from a stalk, or gazing up at the sky, renaming the constellations. That looks pretty awesome. Oh, you guys, look at this. Yes. His parents noted Wesley's improved morale. "It's the first time in years he's looked happy," said his mother. Wesley gave them a tour of Weslandia. "What do you call this plant?" asked his father. Not knowing its name, Wesley had begun calling it Swist, from the name of its leaves rustling in the breeze. In like manner, he had named his new fabrics, games, and foods, until he had created an entire language. It's like an oasis in this neighborhood. Mixing the plant's oils with soot, Wesley made a passable ink. As the finale to his summer project, he used the ink and his own 80-letter alphabet to record the history of his civilization's founding. And in September, Wesley returned to school. Look at him, he's working super hard. He had no shortage of friends. Okay, let's talk about this ending. How has Wesley's relationship with his classmates changed? Why did it change? You could pause here and share some ideas with your partner. I hope you enjoyed this book. I know I do. I wonder how we can all live in Weslandia.